My name's Yvonne Elsorougi. I've worked in aviation and aerospace now for nearly 30 years, and 20 years of that has been here, based in the UK. I work for myself now. I'm an independent aerospace sector specialist. What that means in practice is that I work for a number of different clients, mainly government clients, but also directly for companies. And I do a lot of work internationally to promote the aerospace and engineering capabilities and assets that we have here, particularly in the west of England. And in parallel with that, I also do a lot of work with individuals in the industry, particularly women in aerospace, to help them achieve their career aspirations. I spend quite a lot of time here in the Science Park. This is like a microcosm of the work that I do. So I spend a lot of my time promoting the capabilities that we have here at the Science Park. So for example, the National Composite Centre, and a lot of the excellent innovative companies that we have here at the Science Park. Companies like HIATA, Smartia, InSphere, that are all based here and doing phenomenal work in the area. The factors that I like most about my job, firstly, is the variety that I have. So none of my days are the same. I spend time going to international trade shows, promoting the region internationally, along with other government colleagues from the Department for International Trade. Behind the scenes, I'm doing a lot of research activity, making sure that I'm aware of the latest trends in the industry. So, for example, urban air mobility, electric aircraft, and all of the disruptive technologies and how they are now being applied in aerospace and advanced engineering. The last thing I really like about my job is the fact that I'm constantly learning. So throughout my whole career, I've worked in industry, I've worked in academia, and I've worked in government and the public sector. I studied a business degree, and it was only quite later on in my life that I went back and studied engineering. And that's quite unusual because most people are doing that the other way around. My first job in aviation was at Dublin Airport, and through that job I learned a lot about airline operations and also maintenance activities, because there's a lot of maintenance activity going on around Dublin Airport and all the support services, ground operations, etc. I really loved that whole environment and I wanted to stay in that sector. So I then looked for other opportunities to stay involved in the aviation industry, and I subsequently worked for Short Brothers in Belfast and then for Pratt & Whitney's repair shop in Dublin. And so I made a specific decision to go back and study engineering, and it was a multidisciplinary program which combined engineering with management, with a whole breadth of all of the skills and capabilities that you would require for a career in aerospace. So from that point then I was able to embed my engineering knowledge alongside all of my other business knowledge. Well, I think one of the main reasons that I became interested in aviation was that we lived close to Dublin Airport. Our next door neighbour worked in air traffic control. Quite a lot of people in my hometown would have worked for Aer Lingus, which was the state airline, would have worked as cabin crew, pilots, would have worked in the maintenance hangars. And so one of the things that we used to do as a family was go and visit the airport at the weekend, and they had a beautiful viewing gallery where you could go and watch the aircraft taking off and land. So for us, when we were children, that was a very exciting place for us to go, and that's really where my passion for aviation started. Going from that to be able to actually work at the airport was really special for me, so I loved that opportunity. I think engineering is fascinating for a number of reasons. I think for me, certainly coming from a non-engineering background originally, the sheer breadth and scope of the things you can do in engineering is fascinating. From automotive to aerospace, marine, civil engineering, construction, wind energy. There's endless variety of things that you can actually do in engineering. Looking at solutions to major global challenges, whether that's environmental, whether it's future mobility, whether it's future healthcare. There's all sorts of scope for looking at trying to solve those major challenges. I think for me, one of the things that I would probably advise my younger self is to know when you can ask for help and that it's okay to ask for help. When I left school, there was very high unemployment. It was very difficult to get jobs when people left university, and I learned how to cope with those sort of situations. I travelled away a lot, I worked overseas, I did lots of different types of jobs before I ended up in aerospace and engineering. So even though life throws lots of challenges at you, even though things don't necessarily work out the way you want, good things always come out in the end. Even though business is more subjective than engineering, there's still a lot of creativity involved. So on the engineering side, you use your creative talents to produce physical products and services that run alongside that. In the business world, you're using creativity to develop new business models, new processes, to market those kind of products. And so there's a lot of creative energies that are used on the business side. I think in engineering, because things are based in science, based on rules, sometimes things can feel like they're a little bit possibly more inflexible, more rigid than they would be in the business side, where there's more scope for interpretation. And I think that's sometimes where engineers kind of struggle with the broader business approach to things. Well, what I would suggest is that people look at all the opportunities that are open to them and grab those opportunities. So while you're in university, take the opportunity to go to lectures where industrialists are coming in to speak to you, find out more about the wider industry, join some networking groups where you can be exposed to the latest developments in technology, but also start to meet people from the community of engineering that you might want to go into. Take those kind of chances. Also, I would suggest, don't be waiting for your perfect job. So if you get opportunities, for example, if you wanted to work in aerospace, but you get a chance to work in automotive, for example, take that opportunity, because at the moment you've got a lot of convergence of technologies. And for example, in urban air mobility, automotive and aerospace capabilities and skills are actually coming together and converging. So if you have some automotive experience, you can apply it in aerospace and vice versa. And you know, that will hold true no matter what you go into. A lot of people don't see what goes on in the background in terms of bringing together the major consortia which work on these research projects, and over long periods of time eventually come through to the type of products that we see, the type of aircraft that we see flying today. And a lot of the research that's being done at the moment on electrification, battery technologies, advanced propulsion, structures, composite materials in particular, all of those will start coming through to the next generation of aircraft, reducing the environmental impact of those aircraft, and also improving mobility for people around the world.